Last time on Realm of the Gods Beatleshoece. We join the gang back home after 2 weeks had passed and, find that Horace has made a full recovery from the attempt on his life. Conveniently, Horace happened to have an annual pass to the Underworld tour bus. Score! But first, the spirit cat following Briathar returns, much to his irritation. Luckily for the cat, Nolene was able to discover that the cat wanted the gang to go to the address 5117 Baker Road Retirement Community to seek what it needed us to do. The gang travel there and find an old lady. Briathar immediately makes a play for her purple old lady sweater. The cat shows the gang that it's looking for its companion, a ball of yarn. Luckily, the gang was headed to the underworld already. Although, I'm not really sure how an inanimate object can die, but here we are. Beatleshoece creates some baller-ass shoes for her as well because honestly, the kicks her stupid grandson got her were totally garbo. So, the gang finally pulls up to the gates of Hades, and for some reason, everyone tries to sneak in like it's some kind of top-secret mission, just to snag the best seats. As they roll along, they pass all sorts of wild sights, like Hades chilling in his garden, the fields where folks are getting tortured, and a bunch of other spots packed with the damned. Right as they're passing the gates to heaven, Beatleshoece calls on his minion Damos to help search for his, way more impressive deceased brother Somad. In this next bit, Damos decides to show off his strength by, punching himself in the stomach. And honestly, the whole bus just loses it, cracking up at what they call the chicken of strength. After all that, the gang heads over to the stairway to heaven and finds this guy with a broom. Turns out, it's Sweepin' Steve. The crew is absolutely stoked, crowding around Steve, who, by the way, used to be totally incinerated, and they managed to talk him into breaking out of the underworld. Beatleshoece even whips up some shoes and these, hand shoes, so Steve doesn't accidentally touch the bus and get vaporized, kind of like what happens if you get hit by the secondary fire from the pulse rifle in Half-Life 2. So the gang follows their spectral cat companion out to this dark corner of the underworld, and suddenly they hear a spooky voice mutter, "Give it back." Out from the shadows comes a familiar face, Saki the Sackless Sack. Turns out he really didn't appreciate getting unalived and having his little sack body puppeteered in front of his wife, who, by the way, was gaslit into thinking everything was fine. But man, is that a trauma response or what? Anyway, he was flanked by several ghouls, and they all started moving into attack. Nolene and Ringo try to fight off the ghouls, while Briathar and I go right for Saki with the vacuum cleaner. After a bit of a struggle, and me totally failing to convince a ghoul to become a turncoat, the gang manages to get Saki sucked up in the vacuum cleaner, and finally, we get a chance to talk to Saki. So then, the gang tries to use our superpower again, gaslighting. We try to convince Saki to come with us, and in return, I promise I'll turn him into sentient shoes. He'll be way cooler that way. Of course, this was all just a big misunderstanding, and honestly, both parties were equally at fault. He really shouldn't have startled me. So, a spectral ball of yarn tumbled out of Saki's underworldly possessions, and just like that, the cat returned to its mortal body as a third of the weird, messed-up Cerberus that Briathar created a while back. The gang then, return to the stairway of heaven and start heading up, and surprisingly, they actually make it. Well, except for Damos. They see the gates of heaven flanked by 2 angels. Briathar tries to kick down the door, but gets blasted back by the holy energy. The gang requests to see Somad, and the angels agree. Somad doesn't really have much to say and mostly just gives the gang information that he already knew. Although, it was kinda cool that Damos got to meet Somad, even if that conversation was basically like, "Hey, how have you been? Yeah, I've been good too anyway. Bye, best of luck out there." So Beatleshoece nervously wonders if he's still in good graces with heaven, since, he may or may not have caused a few unnecessary deaths. Not murder, just, some tragic accidents. But, surprisingly, heaven is totally cool with the gang in general because, hey, they killed the demon of fate. Who would have thought, right? This whole thing gives Beatleshoece a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and now he figures, since he's cool with heaven, he's got to be cool with God too. The angels, feeling a bit playful, turn the stairway into a slide and everyone goes down it. Beatleshoece, of course, goes face first. Yeah, it's as chaotic as it sounds. So the gang finally reunites with Horace, who turns out was just chatting with his good buddy Bill the whole time. And surprisingly, the gang doesn't even try to get Bill over for poker. Go figure. So, the gang boards the new bus, making a whole lot of noise complaining that they want a refund. Even though, honestly, they already have free guest passes and, well, they kinda caused the crash in the first place. But, you know, somehow they end up scoring vouchers for a free visit to the underworld. Not bad for a bunch of troublemakers. The bus pulls up at the first gift shop, and wow, it's packed with all sorts of fun stuff. Like, there are vinyls of Highway to Hell and Stairway to Heaven, Hades action figures, sippy cups, and yeah, those ridiculously overpriced energy drinks. Ringo grabs a glowy hourglass and I can't resist snagging a Hades action figure for myself. Eventually the tour makes its way to the last stop, the gift shop at the Sands of Time. I just can't help myself and try to grab the Sands of Time, but poof, I'm teleported right back to the bus. And honestly, I do this 5 times in a row. The moment we walk in, we're greeted by this little guy named Kronox the Eternal, a super cheerful stopwatch mascot. It's kind of hilarious, honestly. So at first, Beatleshoece's pupils, they just dilate, and he tries to destroy Kronox. But every single time he succeeds, he's sent right back in time. This happens again and again, like over and over. Finally, Beatleshoece and Rindo, they agree to buy the Sands of Time. Then, Beatleshoece is stabbed with a dagger before he can even react, and Kronox just beheads him before he has a chance to do anything. Ringo gets teleported right into Colonel Panda's mouth and, well, the Colonel bites down. Time rewinds, and Kronox says that if the sands are ever used to break the time stream, Beatleshoece and Ringo would be teleported back to that exact moment and instantly killed. The gang leaves, honestly unsettled and terribly disturbed back to the overworld, with Saki stuck in a vacuum and Sweepin' Steve nervously trying to avoid touching the bus itself. Will the cat enjoy its new Cerberus form? Will Saki enjoy life as a pair of shoes? Will Sweepin' Steve reunite with Moppin' Mike and, let us back into the grocery store? Find out next time on Reel of the Gods, Beatleshoece.